Oh, Zani, after basically 3 patch of Renacita, finally she is here. I know that many of you are excited for her and I have been as well. Finally we get to test her out. Managed to put for her on my main account yesterday, spent the whole day actually building as much as I can onto Zani and basically spent quite a bit of time so that I can have a feeling in terms of what Zani is capable of, and now basically kind of like giving my review onto my account specifically in terms of whether or not Zani was actually a worth it pull for me, so that based on my experience you guys can also decide whether or not it will be actually a worth it pull for you guys. Astrites, admit it, I know you all love this shiny gems. Your favorite Wuthering Waves character requires this, but well, you're out of Astrites. What do you do now? Well, of course, we tend to swipe our cards, however, that can be quite expensive, doesn't it? But thanks to Loot Bar, our sponsor for today's video, we have an even better way for you guys to top up for Wuthering Waves. If you know me, I've been recommending you guys Loot Bar before, since you can always save almost a 21% on all of your top-ups. With over 100,000 orders and so many good reviews at this point in time, you can be sure that Loot Bar is trustworthy. And by the way, this also applies to PS5 and Xbox user who can place orders through Loot Bar. To demonstrate to you, I've been topping up my Wuwa account through Loot Bar, buying the highest Wuwa package. You go through the checkout process, then they will ask you to fill your account information. After completing, you will have a direct message notifying that they are hopping in to top up for you. Then voila, you're done. Here you can see my order receipt. I've topped up Genshin Impact with Loot Bar many times before, so I can be sure that they are safe. So guys, be sure to check out Loot Bar through the link in my description, as it can be a great way for you to save money, especially if you are topping up a large amount in Wuthering Waves. Now, for Zani's basic skills and kit, I'm pretty sure you guys have already watched many of the guides out there on YouTube, so technically speaking, you should already have an idea of what Zani basically do. Her kits revolve around, first off, you have kind of like her normal mode, where she do her normal attack and also has the ability to parry your enemy's attack, which is really nice because the parry window is very forgiving. But what's more important is when we touch on her liberations, right? Because that is when it changes into her inferno mode, and how strong she actually deal her damage depends a lot onto her blaze, which is kind of like a straight line bar under her forte gauge. The more stack you build up for Zani, the more damage and more time she's going to be able to deal damage during her liberation state. And in order for you to do this, the main way to charge it is through Spectral Frazzle, which means in order to access a maximum damage, character that applies Frazzle is technically a requirement whenever you are building a Zani team. And at this point in time, we only have 2 characters specifically, and that is going to be Phoebe for the Ultimate Premium team, as many have called it, or Spectral Rover if you're going toward a free-to-play option team. Other than that, during her normal mode, whenever you max out her forte gauge and then you get the enhanced skill version, she also charges a bit of her stacks as well. However, the best way has always been to do with a lot of Spectral Frazzle application from your other character to charge her blaze, which honestly speaking, from my experience of playing Zani, she kind of feels a lot like Jinxie for some reason, right? You have your other coordinating attack character to charge up her incandescent stack, and then the more stack Jinxie has, the more nuke damage she's able to do. Now, her build wise on my account, currently here's my number that I've already got for her. What technically I'd love for crit rate to be slightly higher, but considering she does have a lot of access to crit rate through her echo set as well as her passive. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure many of you are going to be using her on Shorekeeper team too. She doesn't really lack too much crit rate at that point, so we focus a lot onto her crit damage building. However, when it comes to weapon wise, it is slightly a more expensive kind of things whenever you are touching into a weapon investment, because if you have a quick look onto Pragman, we can see that compared to the standard 5-star options, her signature is like a 25% increase, which is actually pretty high compared to some of the other characters. Many of the time we only have the signature being around roughly 18%, but a 25% increase to what the weapon itself is a pretty huge boost. So whenever we're using a 4-star options, even though it's not too bad, but the difference it is going to be noticeable for us for more of the free-to-play players. Now when it comes to echoes, it's very easy, right? We're going to be using the Eternal Radiant set, crit damage as a cost 4, and then Spectral for cost 3, and attack for cost 1. Very easy. You can have Capitanus on the main slot because he actually gives you Spectral and heavy damage bonus, which is great for Zani. Moving on, we're going to be touching on the teams. So first off, we're going to be having a Phoebe team, which is basically her premium team with Shorekeeper as well. I'm pretty sure you guys should have at least Shorekeeper if you've been playing Wuthering Wave for a bit of time. And for Phoebe and Zani team, it does obviously feels like a premium team because Phoebe onto Zani team feels as if you're having a Zhe on the Jinxie team, right? Because the amount of stacks that Phoebe is actually able to give to Zani is just so damn easy. You only need very little time before Zani already has full blaze, and then she can go in full max liberation state. So yes, definitely at the current point, Zani is pretty much, I'd say, a bit locked into this team if you're looking into a very best Zani teams, right? Compared to many of the other characters who has access to a slightly more variety of team comps where you can go around with quick switching and do other character combination. Zani pretty much is only going to be on a Phoebe team. However, we do have access to Spectral Rover. I'm pretty sure many of us are going to be having a Spectral Rover Verena for a Zani team for very much a free-to-play option as well. And from my experience, this team is pretty good also. Now, does Rover actually help Zani to charge stack as fast as Phoebe? Absolutely not. I'd say if you're good at it, then Rover is only around 65 to 70% compared to Phoebe. But for those or like myself who's not really too good at quick switching, I feel like it's like a 50 to 55% compared to a Phoebe. So it's a lot longer for you to use Rover to charge Zani. But the real question is, while using this team, can you still clear content? And the answer is absolutely yes. I'm still able to clear the TOA basically with this specific Rover team. I haven't actually actively tried out this team onto, you know, like max level hologram. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot harder because those boss deals a lot of damage and is slightly more tanky. However, if you've already practiced, you invest into the character, right? You build Rover to actually do quite a lot of damage as well. Then you learn quick switching on a Zani team, that I feel that this team will still do you absolutely perfectly fine. You do not need to have a Phoebe in order for you to clear content with Zani. However, the damage difference is definitely going to be there. Well, if you like looking at, you know, higher, longer rotation uptime for Zani, then that may be a slight problem. But if you're looking to just clear content with Zani, then Spectral Rover is still good enough, which is definitely something that you guys have to consider and look into. Now, whenever you're playing Zani, definitely you're going to be using her in the overworld as well. You're going to be taking her out there to farm the echoes here and there, doing overworld bosses, walking around and playing around with Zani. That's definitely going to be something you guys do whenever you have Zani on your account. Now, from my experience, again, as I've mentioned, Zani feels a lot like Jinxie, right? She doesn't focus a lot onto her normal attack, and you use a lot of normal attacking in the overworld because you don't always have your liberation active in the overworld. So if you're using Zani to farm the echoes, it will take a bit more time compared to using other characters because you just don't always spam your liberation onto a single echoes and then move on to the next while your liberation has already run out. Which leads us to the part where I talk about was Zani actually worth it for me to pull in my experience with her, right? She's a character that I feel very good to play. There's a certain heaviness whenever you use her attack, whether it is in the normal mode or her inferno mode during her liberation. You know, it feels as if she hits like a truck, and she absolutely does. Feels very good to play her, and I think that's one of the most important factor whenever we play Wuthering Wave, right? Because it's about how good the character feels whenever you play, especially the DPS character, and obviously Zani is the hyper carry, and that's definitely an important factor. Compared to some of the other DPS characters I've played, I'm pretty sure Zani is roughly an A or an S tier for me. I think she's going to be an A+ tier because, well, definitely it comes down to personal preference as well. So on the experience of gameplay side, Zani is definitely a must-pull character if you enjoyed it. Now for meta-wise, obviously, I don't think we consider too much meta-wise in Wuthering Wave because currently at this point in time, many of the DPS characters are technically on the same level. So the majority of the things we look into are going to be personal preference, as most of the character released are pretty much just DPS character, right? We've already got so many DPS characters at this point, that's just pretty much a preference. So whenever you're considering Zani specifically, if you've already liked her, then that's definitely going to be a pulling factor for you. But if you're looking at your account and you're thinking that, man, I've already got so many DPS characters, then you may want to think a little bit more about it, because honestly, Zani is definitely one of the more expensive characters for you to invest in. And moreover, even though Spectral Rover is a character that you can use in a free-to-play team, she's technically kind of hard locked into a premium Phoebe team compared to many other DPS characters when you can use them in multiple different kind of teams. For example, you know, like even Jinxie, Changli, Carlotta, those kind of characters are more flexible in terms of their team build. So if you are somebody who likes a variety of gameplay across your characters, then Zani is definitely not going to be the character for you. And most of the time, you're just going to be seeing her on a Zani Phoebe team. Now, technically, Chikona is going to be a character that does apply Spectral Frazzle, but we still have to wait until Chikona actually comes to see how good of a Spectral Frazzle she's going to be able to apply to help Zani out. If she's going to be on roughly Spectral Rover, then obviously that's not going to be too much of a good pool for you to invest into your Zani. But other than that, I'm pretty sure you guys have some other questions that I've seen a lot. For example, whether or not you should be pulling Phoebe or Zani's weapons at the current point. In which I would say, if you haven't actually got Phoebe, then I would definitely recommend you to try and get a single copy of Phoebe first for you guys to build a team, because Phoebe charging Zani is just so fast that it's going to be a lot more worth it for you to get the weapon at the current point. You just better off use a standard 5-star weapon for Zani and use her alongside with Phoebe for the time being, wait for her rerun and then get her weapon then. That's going to be a lot more beneficial if you're looking for the optimal gameplay experience for Zani, and that's going to be my point of view. So guys, I think that's everything I've got to say about Zani at the current point. I feel that she's a great character. If you guys have any questions, leave it down in the comment section. I or some other lovely Wuthering Wave players will get to you there. Now, I know it's an anniversary patch, and again, if some of you are looking to swipe to get the top-up bonus reset, don't forget to check out loot bars. I'm sure they will be very valuable to you. With that, I wish you a super day, and I'll catch you on my next video.